that's one of the things that brought me to Avon while I was recovering from my surgery. I thought about what I want to do, and it gave me something to, I don't know, just make me feel like I was part of like the human race again, and I got to meet people and do things and have activities. And it's every once in a while I would think about it, that I clearly remember sitting there that night saying, I'm not happy in my life, I'm not happy in my job, and I need to do something. And it took time, but I feel that, it took me 3 years to really accomplish most of it. And, I tried every once in a while, I go back to that feeling. So I remember this is what I to do and get my
Wow.
back on track. Yeah, it was, I know it's like kind of like a morbid thing, but, that, and then Sarah knows my situation. It was the hurricane, then my best friend died, then my mother died, and it was just like, it was just one thing after another. And I just decided that I can't be unhappy anymore, and life is short, and I'm going to do what I can do to, make the best of it.
Wow. That's an impactful story, mate. Somebody was telling me last night, like we did that Path to Bronze Ambassador, and Erica actually, she's a leadership coach, and she has the most amazing inspirational stories. And she said, you really
On the conference call.
at the end of it, she was like, you really want to dig into your why you're here, what made you join Avon, and all of that kind of stuff. And if it doesn't bring up emotion, then you haven't dug deep enough. Do you know what I mean? So it's like that right there is like you have dug and you were like, you know what, I want to change my life. There are certain things I'm unhappy with. And I look at my husband too, and he's like, I hate my job so much. He's like, I dread going to work every day. And I was like, I've been very fortunate in my career that I've always loved what I've done. So, but I would hate to be in a situation like him where he dreads going to work. So I was like, Dana, that right there gives you like, and as you grow, because you are going to grow, you're going to keep growing. And, your story will just be impactful. So never remember that. Like write it down, do a video of yourself, like what you did, so that way you can remember that feeling. I think that's awesome. What about you, Miss Jean?
Well, I really haven't had the drastic, anything drastic like that. My goal setting and stuff like this has been, I like to succeed, and I'm trying to regiment my time and what time I'm going to be doing this, even when I was getting the kids ready for school, get them up at a certain time, go get them breakfast, get them lunch, made and all this, and then send them off. But I just had a schedule that I always worked. Okay. And even when I worked out, like when I was doing volunteer work, and I still do volunteer work at the church, I just have a schedule that I have to meet, and I just figure out how I'm going to do it and do it,
Jane, I know you sure do that. So that is awesome. All right, so we're going to talk about SMART goals. I know you all know about this, but it's specific, measurable, attainable, and relevant as well. So defined goals are establishing a measurable set of targets that will enable you to achieve your overall dream. What goals are not? They're discrete activities, they're single actions, and they're high-level concepts. So I'm going to give you an example. For example, I want to recruit more. So if your goal, if you said, well, I want to recruit more, that is not actually a SMART goal. It's a goal, but it's not a SMART goal. By having a SMART goal, it is, I want to recruit one person each month through the end of the year. So it's giving you specific, measurable, and attainable, relevant, and time-bound goals. So if you're setting your goals down, you want it to follow the SMART goal, and you want it to be attainable. That's what I really want you to think about, is attainable. But in fourth quarter, we have a ton of things that are going on that can really take you from, really can set you up for 2019 in a huge way. So another example is I want to increase my personal sales. So just say if you have a team member that says, I really, really want to increase my sales. What does that look like if it's a SMART goal? It's I want to increase each of my personal orders for campaign 3 and campaign 4 by $100. And then you would even dig in more. I know for one of my people in my last leadership program, one of her goals was to reach President's Club this year. So we really sat down and we drilled it down by how many customers she needed to see, because that's what related to her. That's how she felt she would get to President's Club. So really digging deep and knowing what your goals are and drilling down a bit. So we will use these measures for our goals. This will ensure that our goals are specific, measurable, and relevant. 3 of the 5 letters in SMART. We begin with our personal goals because they're not only directly tied to our dream, they are the most directly tied to our dream. Our personal goals include our earnings title, our Generation 1 new appointments, and our personal sales dollars. Because our teams help us achieve our earnings and title goals, our next step is to set team goals. So we're going to look at personal goals and then we're going to set team goals. Does that make sense? I know, Jean, you can't see the screen, but the personal goals,
No.
as we said, are your title. Like, are you performing at your title or do you need to increase title? What are your earnings amount? What are your Generation 1 new appointments? And then also looking at personal sales as well. And then going into your team, because your team is a multiplier for you. So looking at, is your team recruiting? How many appointments are they getting? The team size. Looking at team order activity, team orders and the order size and the team sales. And I know I stick that grid up. I mean, when you look at your Avon business, it's really based on that grid, that quadrant that I pop in. Are all of your team members ordering? Are they all increasing their sales, etc.? So just by following that grid, that is probably one of the most important things that you can do to grow your business.
Yeah.
So, all right. So the next thing we're going to do is setting personal goals. So let's talk about things you should consider when setting your personal goals. The first thing you need to consider is your dream. How close do you want to get to achieving your dream? Is it important to align your goals? So for you guys, is it important to align your goals with your dream? Yes.
Yes.
Of course.
I think so, yes.
Yes. Another important consideration is your time. How much time do you plan to commit to your Avon business? If your goals are aggressive, but you don't have the time to dedicate to them, you can't be successful. So it's important to be realistic so your goals are attainable. And that's the A in SMART. So looking at if you're putting 2 hours a week into your business, then what could you achieve with that? If you're putting 10 hours a week into your business, what are you looking at achieving like that? You want to look at it as I guess, not a hobby, and look at it as a business, because you're inputting dedicated time that's very, very important into your business. So an important step in setting your goals is reflecting on past performance. You need to understand your past performance in order to plan for your future. So tell me, why do you think it's important to look at your past performance?
Well, because it shows you what you've done or what you need to do to, and move up and increase and do better. And
yeah, and do you know, like, I know you guys are fairly new with Vibe, etc. Do you know where to find this information in Vibe?
I'm learning.
Okay. So that is something that I would like to do in our one-on-ones, and we can share the screen, but really look at where we look at how to find your past results so that way you can plan for the future. Okay, so really looking at what reports at this time is crucial to your business, because you don't need all the reports. We have a ton and ton of reports, but what are the 2 or 3 reports that could really help you right now in your business? So we'll have a look at that on your one-on-ones. And as you get better and better with Vibe, you'll be able to, maneuver through it more easily. But at the beginning, we all have to learn Vibe. There's a lot of new reports that come out all the time, and whatever incentive is coming. So we'll look at that specifically to your business in your one-on-one. So
Yeah.
Anything else? Any comments, Jean, so far?
No, I'm just listening, and I agree.
All right, my friend. All right. Okay. So setting team goals. And realistically, you want to look at, because we know some people in your team will be personal shoppers. We know some people, as you grow especially, maybe aren't so engaged. And we'll talk about that in the later modules as well. So really getting to know your team, like understanding what their goals and dreams are, etc., as well, is very important. So once your personal goals are established, then you want to focus on your team goals for the upcoming year, or even the quarter. I'm going to ask you to really look at the rest of the year, because 2019 is just around the corner. And I feel that if we really set up some great things in 2018, your year 2019 will be phenomenal. So consider this when you're looking at your team goals. What does your team need in order for you to achieve your personal goals? So, for example, if you're wanting to go from bronze to silver, what are you needing to do for that? What are your team's past results? And this can be something looking at average order size, perhaps, having a lesson on upselling, or maybe selling the A box, or maybe, fundraising, whatever it may be. So what are the team's past results? What are your team's best opportunities for growth? And what do you want to focus your efforts with your team this year? So as you finalize this quarter out, you may be looking at, perhaps there are people that are close to President's Club. Perhaps there are people in your team that need to make an extra $500 a month so that they don't have to get into credit card debt. But finding out what their goals and dreams are, and that way you'll find that will realign, and you'll be able to understand what you can get out of your team. So, setting goals for the next 6 campaigns. So, make incremental progress towards your goals and your team goals. Once you set your personal and team goals, we're going to ask you to set specific goals for key performance indicators for your next 6 campaigns, which is the next 3 months or the quarter. And that's how we work, by quarter, basically. Now, there is an amazing report in Vibe that I'll show you all that has all of this information in it. It's called the Leadership Calculator Report, and it's underneath your static reports. But it will give you all this information at a glance, as long as it's updated. And if it's not there, if it hasn't been updated, I'll show you where else you can get all the information at a glance. So you don't have to worry about, going through everything in detail and getting confused with it. I'll show you where it is and how easy accessible it is. So what you need to consider: what do you need to achieve to stay on track and reach your goal? What season is it? Can you expect more or less from your business at this time of year? Where do you plan to focus your efforts? And can you focus on growing your team, which will positively impact your business in the long term? Oh, listen to that baby.
Yeah, I'm fixing to change her. She's just woke up. Oh,
baby noises. Oh, my goodness. Okay.
Yeah, she's...
Sweet baby.
She's a mess.
Yeah. All right.
And she'll start crying now. Let me.
Or I'll mute you.
Okay, mute me.
Not so much crying. So, all right, so reflecting to ensure success. Once you've set your goals, it's important to reflect on them and ask yourself these questions. Are your goals attainable? Can you stretch your goals even further? When I work with top performers, honestly, they will give me underestimated goals because they set themselves stretch goals, okay? And I often, with those top performers, I'd be like, I really know that you can do that, but I know down deep that you're setting a stretch goal. And if I don't tell anybody else, tell me what you want and you visualize for yourself. So no, different personalities will tell you different things, but set attainable goals, and then you can set a stretch goal as well. But motivating is very important. So being realistic and attainable. And once they achieve that, they will often grow to their stretch goals as well. And then do your specific short-term goals align with your long-term goals? So will you make enough incremental progress in the next campaigns to achieve your personal and team goals? If you find your goals are not quite right, then adjust them. And I know for me, I'm always going back. I'm always going back and having a look at, am I on track? Am I not on track? What do I need to fix? What's working and what's not working? So now we're going to look at defining strategies. And, defining strategies. Once your goals are set, it's important to think about how you're going to achieve the goals. So when we look at strategies, think about your personal goals. How will you achieve your title goal? How will you increase your earnings? How will you increase your personal sales? And how will you identify new recruits? And then think about your team goals. How will you help your team increase total orders? How will you help your team increase their average order size? How will you help team members place more orders, place orders, increase total sales, etc., etc.? So it's also important to think about your strategies for achieving all your goals. What has worked, what I just said, what has worked in the past and what has not worked, and then refocusing. And then think about, like I know with you guys as well, I will start asking you in December, like where your vision is for 2019. What is your vision for 2019 as we wrap up 2018? What is your vision for your team? What is your vision for yourself? Where do you see your Avon business taking you, etc.? So we'll really look at that planning probably in December. And we have a lot of other things that, remember, you want to work it out in your planning calendar so that you remain work-life balance. And we'll talk about work-life balance. We'll talk about how to make sure that your time management reflects on what actually works for your business so you don't get caught up in the weeds. And then really looking at what different things can we get to super boost your business for 2019 as well. So that's what we're going to continue learning in these modules. But this is the application guide. And as I said, there is an amazing report in Vibe. It's called the Leadership Planning Calculator report that has all of this information. And Dana, I know you and I can probably talk beforehand. Jean and I can talk, and I can show you where the reports are on Vibe. So I don't want anybody to get overwhelmed with this sheet, and just look at where you've been and where you're going. So this is the learning curve for you to really put down on paper what your goals are, what your dreams are, and then really looking at the strategy behind it as well, and planning for the next 6 campaigns, which is the next quarter. So really looking at wrapping up 2018 and bringing on 2019 in a very, very strong way. So this is the application guide for the goals and strategies. I just sent it to your email. And as I said, please, if you have any questions at all, I actually love this module because it really starts getting me thinking about the numbers. And when we know the numbers, we know how to get there, what the plan is. So, and again, it's through Adobe. So if you have not sent me your conversational selling module, then you need to send me your conversational selling module and the goals and strategies. But if you need some help finding the reports beforehand, please give me a holler and we can do a quick Zoom meeting and I can show you exactly where you need to find them. Because again, it's going to help you be able to help your downline as you continue to grow. And as you continue to grow, your time is going to be very, very valued, and we still want you to remain in a good work-life balance so you're not working 24/7. So this part of it will really show you where your time is best spent. Just like when I look at like which leaders I'm working with, and and those that maybe aren't 100% in their business yet, we're going to look at who are your key players, who is motivated, who has the will, because we can always teach them the skill, but who has the will, and maybe they just don't understand what Avon can provide right now, because it's not until they really get to, bronze leader that they're really going to make a substantial amount of money with their leadership checks. But going up to that, you're learning how to sell. You're teaching others how to sell. So we'll all come into play for that as well. So on our next call, we're going to talk about if you could go anywhere. Hang on. Okay, all right, I forgot this. So I know I've probably spoken to you guys about this. This is just extra stuff that I've been putting in. If you guys use a calendar, how do you plan your life? Do you have a paper calendar or do you use your phone? What do you
I have both.
Both?
I put everything in my phone, but put the important stuff also on a paper calendar because I need to see it visually in front of my face.
Okay. What about you, Jean?
I use both too.
Okay, all right.
I do the same.
Okay, you will be surprised how many big leaders don't have any kind of planning. So this is a great thing. If you guys are already in a system of planning, you will really see when you get to your downline how you can help them with this, but you are already in a good practice, but you will be surprised. Especially those that maybe perhaps, maybe were stay-at-home mums and they worked from home or whatever it may be. You'd be surprised that the planning session is very, very important. And no matter what they use, just using something is important to help them. So this is in addition to your homework. So over the next 2 weeks, I just want you to jot down your Avon daily activities. And you may not do Avon every day, which is fine. But for example, just say today, like I know already you guys have given me an hour. So you were on a webinar. And then I know Dana was on a call with me for, 35 minutes already. So, looking at maybe Dana's going to do 3 hours today. And then tomorrow, I know she has 2 events. Do you know what I mean? So she has a morning event and she has an evening event. You know what I mean? So looking at, like if she writes down her calendar today, she would say, maybe 3 hours, 2 webinars, and maybe, talking to her team members, whatever it may be. Then tomorrow she may say a crazy 8, 12 hours, whatever it may be, with different events in the field. And then Thursday, she's going to drive to Charlotte. She has a probably over 40-hour work week this week with her Avon business. And then maybe next week she has a couple of days downtime or whatever it may be, Dana, I don't know. But just writing it down to say, okay, I did 2 hours of phone calls this day. I did 3 hours of webinars this day, and really looking at where we're spending your time. And then Jean, you do the same. You know what I mean? Like I did phone calls, I followed up with my team, you know what I mean? All of that good stuff.
Okay.
Okay.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
our hot topic of the question for our next call, and we'll go back to our regular Tuesday evenings, is if you could go anywhere in the world, where would you go and why? So that will be our fun question. And
Okay.
work through your application guide, set your goals high enough to inspire you and make them attainable enough to encourage you. Believe in yourself and what you are capable of. We're going to get more tactical with planning on how you will achieve your goals on our next module.